Hi, my name is Aaron Linsdau. I'm a polar explorer and motivational speaker. It's review day! Today I'm going to review potentially the Jackson Hole original, The Diary of a Dude Wrangler. The Diary of a Dude Wrangler, I would say, is the ultimate Jackson Hole original. Check this book out. This is written by a guy named Struthers Burt. And here's his wife, Burt, and Karen Cross. And the Diary of a Dude Wrangler in this cabin is one of the original, if not the original, dude ranches in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Now, would you say, why do I care? Because! Do you travel? Have you ever been to Northwest Wyoming? Have you ever heard of a place called Yellowstone National Park or Grand Teton National Park? Now, you might not have heard of Grand Teton National Park, where this ranch or Dude Ranch is based out of, but you've certainly heard of Yellowstone National Park, right? Hopefully, yes. So, way back when, in, graduated in 1904, built in the 1920s, how did Jackson Hole get started? It's now a place where billionaires call it home. The rest of the middle class, and I wouldn't say lower class because that doesn't sound good, but lower income earners scratch out a living with 3 jobs, living with 6 roommates, and hoping that you can ski bum in the winter and mountain bike and hike in the summer. But how did this place originally start? Well, with this man right here, let's see, let me point him out right there. That is Struthers Burt. Now, it's an interesting name. You would say, shouldn't it be Burt Struthers? No, that's the guy's name. So he was actually quite the writer, and he went in with a partner to create a place called I believe it's called the J.Y. Ranch. That was his first attempt at trying to create a dude ranch in the Jackson Hole area to get people from the east to come to visit, of course, to make money, but to experience what the real West is like. Now, when you're from the east, the Midwest, the South, and you always hear about the Rocky Mountains, even on the West Coast, oh, this is mythical place. Well, this is the mythical place. The Tetons are the most iconic mountain range in not in North America, but in the lower 48 states. I mean, just insanely beautiful. They rise 7,000 feet from the valley below and just sheer up. And the reason why this is because there's a fault line for earthquakes, and it subducts and does all this stuff. This is in geology primer, but let me grab a picture and show you just how dramatic that looks. There's one of the old cabins. This was photographed in the last couple years, and those are the Tetons, and that big mountain in the middle is Grand Teton. Stroke of originality, huh? So this man, Struthers Burt, struck out. He tried his first dude ranch, and it didn't work, so he decided to go in with a guy named Karen Cross, or Carn Cross, and begin the Bar BC Ranch. That ranch is literally the genesis of the drive of people going to Jackson Hole. Now, way back when, Jackson was named after a guy named Davy Jackson. He was a trapper going after beaver furs, but that wasn't practical. I mean, it's practical to him, but everybody else is like, okay, so like beaver, now what? But tourism that Struthers Burt saw in his mind was the ultimate true value of the Rocky Mountains there, because the growing season is insanely short. I mean, maybe from June to August, and then it's just plain too cold. The soil is rocky. It really stinks. You can't really grow anything there. Okay, what about cattle ranching? The snow in Jackson can be deep, 6, 7, 10, 12 feet up on the pass between Wyoming and Idaho. It can be like 20 feet deep. So even though cattle ranching is done nowadays, it's done at the not Heart Six Ranch, the ranch that's just south of Jackson. There's a pretty big cattle operation there. Hartford, I'll remember in a minute. Anyway, cattle ranching there again. So agriculture and food production in the Jackson Hole area and then over in the Teton Valley in Idaho is sketchy at best. It's a really hard place to eke out a living if you're a rancher or looking to develop some agriculture. That stinks, but when you have crazy beautiful mountains like this, and you have a vision that, you know what, people would really like to come here, all of a sudden Struthers Burt said, hey, wait a minute. So he decided to get together with his buddy Carncross, and then there's this whole story that's expounded in here, but they decided to bring out what they call in the West dudes, and that means folks from the East who were not familiar in the ways of Western living, roping cattle, riding horses, living in cabins, Western cabins that is, not Eastern cabins, and having a real West experience. Now, of course, being a Western author, he has to have a dry sense of humor. Struthers Burt's writing is hilarious because it's just this very dry, matter of fact, and then, this lady got stuck coming back down off the mountain, lost her way. Her party thought, she had already made it down. They went down, she got stuck, and then in the dry recitation, not dry meaning boring, but dry meaning funny, like Winston Churchill funny, she learned to make many decisions on her own because she had to. It was funny as heck. So let me flip through. I think it's on page 5 here, just to give you an idea. And by the way, this is the reprint edition. The original edition came out, like almost 100 years ago. So you can actually get this on Amazon today. There's a link below, and you can also buy it at Valley Books and Book Trader in Jackson Hole. But I'll put a link to Amazon below. If you could buy it in the local stores, it's even more fun. But there's a lady who wrote the foreword. Her name is Catherine Wanson, and she is let's see, make sure I get her official title here. She's the president of the Teton County Historic Preservation Board. That's a mouthful. But Ms. Catherine Wanson wrote the foreword to this new edition of the book to give you an idea of a quick back history of how the Barbie C Ranch is operating today, how it's taken care of, and all that. So only forms page 4, page 5 here. Let's see. Okay. So let me read you a passage from the book just to give you an idea of the writing style. Let's see, bad remember notes. Okay, here we go. This is a fun opening paragraph. In the dapple shade of an August orchard, my uncle showed me how to throw a rope, how to hold the loop and send it through the air, and I never forgot the trick, nor the memory of the tawny length of coiling like a sun-flecked serpent under the thick leaves. This is curious, too, and bears out the assertion that what you learned before the age of 10, you learn better than at any other time. For later on, when I had to use them, I found myself notoriously bad at remembering other things to do with a rope. Knots, for instance. Each year I learned again the fedora, and I never could learn the Turk's head. And I even had to think long before I could recollect the single diamond in packing. So immediately he gets you into the thought process and connects with the reader of, hey, remember back when he's not this very aloof sort of East Coast guy who went and started this mega ranch. No, he was a regular down-to-earth sort of gentleman. So let me find, there's one other, wait, here we go. Page, let's see. Persuaded women, lives are curious. Artifact killing, let's see, here we go, okay. Okay, one more passage. I must not dwell, for instance, upon the attempt of a good friend of mine, a charming woman when she was herself, to shoot me. She had tried to shoot several other people as well. I sat on the edge of her bed and for 5 minutes or so looked into the wavering end of a .32 caliber revolver before I persuaded her that murder was out of the question. Nor can I repeat what other women, some of them extremely well known, have told me. Most people's lives are curious. So this guy's actually really hilarious. And one of the fun things about The Diary of a Dude Wrangler's just these little stories about the operations that go on in a dude ranch, especially in the early part of the 20th century. I mean, it should just be a regular operation. People go to work, people cook, clean, horseshoe up horseshoes, and whatever else they do. But that never happens. And so some guy, there was a story about a Japanese guy who would get drunk routinely, and Burt said, you know what, if you show up drunk again, I'm going to shoot you. And they weren't always totally joking. It was a very different world back then. They weren't all tied up, butt hurt, freaking out. They were much more normal people. So it was actually quite a joy to read compared to the insanity that goes on today. Now, is it mass shootings and all this? No. It's a totally different world. So if you want to read what it's like to experience Jackson Hole in northwest Wyoming as it was in the 20s when things are much calmer in a very different world, but maybe not so different now. There are ranches like the Triangle X Ranch still operates in Jackson Hole. There's, let's see, the Barbie Sea is now just ruins that is maintained by the Park Service. There's the Goose Wing Ranch way back in the Grovant. So they're actually still operating dude ranches where you can get the experience of back then today. Highly recommended, very entertaining read. It'll give you a great feel of what it's like to be in northwest Wyoming and the people who made it happen. My name is Aaron Linsdau. I'm telling you, The Diary of a Dude Wrangler is funny and well worth the time. I'm a polar explorer and motivational speaker. Please like and comment on the video. Subscribe below, just click that button. Please support me on Venmo, PayPal, and Patreon. Thank you very much for watching.